Hello boys and girls, we're gonna do disassembly of this little partial auto immunity, Benchmade Partial Auto Immunity. This one is in a crater blue color, but it doesn't matter what color it is. It's pretty easy to do. I already did this once when I was doing the review of this knife, and it's available on this channel. I also disassembled it and put it back together, cleaned it thoroughly, lubed it, everything, and then put it back together. But I did all that off camera. I didn't want to waste your precious time, so I didn't do any of that on camera. And then what happened? I went on Reddit, and you know how you are. You're just part of the knife community. People talk and everything. And I saw a post, and man needed help with this, adult males. So, and there's no reason why you guys shouldn't be feeling confident that you guys can do it. It's very easy to do. It requires minimal tools, but you do need the right tools. That's important. But they're minimal. You can acquire them, and then it's pretty easy to do. It is an automatic knife, meaning it opens up like so. The opening action is really strong, which is good. It's something you hope for. At the time of my review, I compared it to this ProTech. ProTech is known for really strong action. ProTech's blade is thicker, and it shoots out very forcefully. And I was saying it's kind of like uncomfortable because it wiggles the whole thing out of your hand. Not uncomfortable to me, but uncomfortable to my girlfriend. This is her knife now. I acquired it for myself, but once she saw it, she had to have it. She didn't tell it to me directly, but there were signs. And eventually I decided to gift it to her, so it's hers. She carries it religiously. It's always on her or in her purse, and she uses it all the time. She's a florist, so she uses it to cut things and whatever you may use a knife for. It's already a little dull, so I will also be sharpening it. But again, I'll be sharpening it off camera. Hopefully I will not read that you guys don't know how to sharpen this knife. It should be pretty easy. So anyway, the point of this video is to take it apart. I'm not any kind of expert, right? I actually I just figured it out as I went. The kind of tools you need is a T10 tool like this one. That's for the pivot. The pivot on Benchmade is always T10. And then you need a T6 for the assembly screws, and if you need to take off the pocket clip, that also requires a T6. So that's it. You also may need lube oil, and then the locking compound, the Loctite or thread locker. I have a couple of them. I just like to use this one. This came with my some parts for my BMW, and I just like this packaging, and it works really well. But it doesn't matter. Make sure it's a medium strength, which is usually blue. All right. If you have any rust, because keep in mind this is not the best rust repellent steel. It's M4. Getting rid of rust is very easy, and what you need is some steel wool and some WD-40. You just spray some WD-40 and rub it away with steel wool. It comes off immediately and with a long-lasting effect. The reason I was taking it apart earlier is because my girlfriend, she's like really heavy user. She uses this knife heavier than I used any of my knives, and I wish I had more usage for my knives, but I just don't get to use them. I'm trying to, honestly, I am, but my life is such that I don't get to do it. But her being a florist, she uses this knife everywhere, and she gets a really heavy use out of this. And then it got like kind of grimy. When I went to pull it, it didn't open for me, right? And then I pulled it again, and then it shut out. So of course that's not good. You don't ever want that to happen. You want it to open up every time when you pull on this. So right now it's working really, really well because I opened it, I cleaned it, I lubed it, I put it back together. And but I'm just doing it right now just to show you how easy it is to disassemble. There is a trick to this because it's not, when I say easy, you can do it, but it doesn't mean there are no like underwater stones to be turned while doing this. So, and I will show you what those mean. But let's just jump right into this. First things first, I'm gonna, I'll probably start with the pivot screw, why not? I'll undo the pivot, and again, I'm not a professional at this, I'm just doing it and figuring it out as I go with you guys. The pivot just comes out. Of course, I did a good job with the thread locker, so it takes a little effort, but you know, it's nothing too crazy. All right, and then, you know, it's out. Pivot is out. And you can see the thread locker, right? That's what I did to this. And then, okay, so we can see there's some thread locker leftovers over here. Just clean them off. Nothing too crazy. I went to grab my little 1/8 of an inch flathead screwdriver by Klein Tools, American made. Love this thing. It saved me in so many different situations. I just don't like this grimy. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, we're gonna see it in a sec. Right, so and then you want to grab the T6 and start hacking away at all these assembly screws. I think you need to take all of them. They come out very easily. For me. And if they don't come out in your case, try not to force them. You may need to heat up the screws with a heat gun or a blow dryer or anything like that. And you've seen those, we've seen those cases online. You can strip the screws if you're not being careful. So, you know, the idea is not to force anything. It should be coming out fairly easily. All right, so it's not coming out, so I took all the screws on this side. Oh, there's one more. Yeah, no, that's the one. I took it out. I'm just gonna take out the. Maybe I don't need to take out the pocket clip. Now you guys can trust me that I'm not a professional at this, but again, doesn't matter. Absolutely doesn't matter. All right, so all the assembly screws are the same. And that speaks to a good design, if you ask me. Coherent and elegant design. Nothing crazy. Everything works well and simple. Last screw. Things better start pulling apart after this. Okay, so, and I'm holding it and it started giving out. There's a spring tension that I can feel, and I'm actually gonna open this knife like this, like so. Hopefully that's what needs to be have done. Oh, yeah, I'll do it from here. Try not to cut yourself. So actually, hold on, I know what I'm doing. I need to push out the pivot. Yes, yes, yes. Pivot out. Okay. Pivot out. I just pushed it out. Brute force. And it's out. This is the other side of the pivot. And the screw is here. So the pivot goes on the show side. And the nut, the bolt that goes into the pivot goes on the clip side for the right-handed user. All right, right now it's kind of, I cannot see what's going on. Just gonna try to pull it apart. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I've done it once, but, oh, okay. So yeah, I can see that I'm gonna have to take apart the, so you see there's some residue of oil that kind of spread around from me last time taking care of this. This is the aluminum scales. Very neatly done, but you can see the oil residue. I'm gonna clean it and re-lube it. There's a spring. That's a spring that shoots the blade out forcefully. Really, really nice design. This spring works very well. Again, the scales are not gonna come out on this side because I did not take out the pocket clip. So actually, pocket clip needs to come out. So I'm gonna take it out right now. That's what we concluded by trial and error. Okay, pocket screws have to come out. And I'm gonna venture to say that pocket clip screws have to be a little longer, because just looking at it, they need to reach a little farther. And yes, that's absolutely correct. The assembly screws are shorter than the pocket screws. You can see the difference. That's the pocket clip screw on the left, and that one is assembly screw. Pocket clip screw is a little longer. All right, and now this scale has to come out, no problem. All right, so again, this because it shoots out so forcefully, or maybe I just put too much oil in it, but there is oil everywhere. And then at this point, you should be able to take the blade out. First, you need to take out the actual spring. And then, if I remember correctly, you just pull it out. Like I'm doing. And really nice, interesting, and great design. There is your spring. That's what makes the whole mechanism working very well, right? So this part, the part that is like this, that goes inside your blade over there, and then this part, the other part with the hook, sticks outside, and there's a special hole where this hook just goes in. If you can see it, that's the hole that hook just hooks in there. And when this opens up and down, the hooked part stays in here and gives the tension for this spring. Now I can pull out the blade, okay? The blade is gonna have two washers on either side. One washer is small, like the regular washer that you have for Benchmade, and another washer is actually quite different because it has to accommodate for that spring. So it's made for a larger opening, and it's like this. As you can see, those are two different washers on either side. One is like regular, one is on the other side where the spring is. It has to accommodate for the spring to go inside that. And same way, the blade, this is the blade itself, it's cut out on this side to accept the spring. And you can see where there's this cut out opening, that's where this straight part of the spring goes, right? It goes into that opening like so, if you can see, and then that hook thing, oh no, that hook thing is still goes outside and hooks into this part over here that we showed earlier, this part over here. Okay, all right, so maybe I wasn't completely honest with you guys. Actually, I wasn't able to figure out how to take apart these two, like the liners. They are being held, excuse me, they're being held by this stopper thing. This is what locks your blade in a closed versus open position. And I wasn't able to figure out how to take it apart. I'm sure it's nothing too difficult, but I ruled that I don't need to do that. I'm not gonna do that. So what I'm gonna do is right now I'm gonna clean it very thoroughly, and I'll show you how I do this. I'm just gonna use cotton swabs to get inside, paper towel to wipe everything on the outside. These scales, like the liners, I guess, they are being held together pretty well, and they're not coming apart for some reason. I'm sure there's a way to do this very easily, I just don't know. And I spent some time doing that last time. I remember like 5-10 minutes. I was like contemplating, trying different things, pulling it. Of course I don't want to break it, and I didn't, but I ruled I don't have to take it apart. Okay, so this is fine. Look, it's clean. I completely wiped it. I'm gonna re-lube it where it needs to be lubed. It looks dry, and to get on the inside, I do the same thing with the cotton swab. Give it a little, rough it up a little bit, and it should go right into all the nukes, and kind of go in there and wipe everything for you. Just the same, actually even better, because you have all this tension. You see all that grime. It ends up being collected on the cotton swab. So just get into all those nooks and crannies, and make sure you collect all that stuff from there, so all that oil is not being collected there for too long, attracting whatever dirt. And it's this knife is actually pretty good about, like, if you just clean it regularly, maintain it, you don't have to take it apart too often. I took it apart last whenever that, couple of months ago, maybe 3 months ago, whenever that time was, when I was doing the video on this knife. And yeah, I mean, it was fine. I mean, it's still fine. It looks clean inside, and I know my girlfriend, she's like, use it every day. This is her favorite knife. By the way, I let her choose any one of my knives that I have in my collection. She only likes one knife. You can put your guesses in the comments below which knife she asked to carry while I'm doing the video for this one. And I'll give you one hint. It's not this one. It's not the Mini Adamas. She did not like Mini Adamas that much. Not that she didn't like it, but she didn't like it, you know. But there is one knife that she's impartial to in my collection, and I've done a video on it. It's on this channel. You can find it if you look for it. What is that? Curious. What is that? Huh. Anyway, you just go around and wipe everything with a paper towel. Gosh, what is that? It's like the thread locker kind of materialized into some kind of semi-washer. plasticky looking thing. Anyway, so just go ahead and clean everything. Nothing to it but to do it. All right, so easy, right? And then it's time to put it back together. So what you want is, oh, the washers. I want to wipe the washers, because the reason I'm wiping the washers, because those are the first things that I'm going to be lubing with my trusty lube over here. And so I cleaned it with paper towel, but that's not good enough. I want to make sure I go over once with the microfiber cloth, because cloth doesn't leave paper residue, and it's better to give it once over with the microfiber cloth to pick up some of the micro paper things if they are there. Now, as far as the blade itself, you can see that these parts are exposed, and those are the ones that might be experiencing some rusting, and that's your areas of concern right there. And I can see that there is some discoloring going on, and that's why we have, you can see the discoloring, but also you can see, I don't know if you can see the discoloring actually, but I can see it. It's not the round thing that goes around, because that's just from the action. But on the edges, there's a little bit of discoloring closer to the finish, where it's like the black finish over here. You can see some discoloring over there. So that's kind of the first signs of the rust. So let's nip it in the bud. Take care of that really quick. I'm gonna clear my table or the work area, and we're gonna take care of this rust. So to do that, I'll need some prepping. So you go ahead and spray some of this WD-40. WD-40 is great for everything. And then you will take some of this steel wool and just kind of try to get in there and just rub it away in a circular motion. It works very well. The biggest difficulty is just to get into those nukes. And once it's there, it just does magic. It works like magic. WD-40 works very well for this. And you just give it a once over like this. Obviously, all the rust will be gone while you're doing this. Any kind of rusting or anything related to that should be completely taken care of in this fashion. I'm gonna say this is enough. I don't want to waste too much time on this right now. There's no visible rust to begin with. There is some discoloration, which there's less of it right now. I wouldn't say it's completely gone, but at the same time, it's not rust necessarily. Right now, there's a lot less of it, so you can see this. Again, this blade, hopefully you can see the difference. There is no rust. I do see some discoloration. Not sure exactly what it's related to. At this point, I'm okay putting this knife back together. That's what I'll do. And first things first, you want to lube these washers, and you want them, because that's how they're gonna stay on while you're putting it together. They're being held by the surface tension of that lube. They're being held in place. And that's actually where you need the lube most, on these washers, because that's what's experiencing the most kind of like friction, right? Because it's going back and forth. I might be putting too much on it, and I'm not worried about it, because I know I can always, take care of it later. So you see, I flipped it over, but the washer is being held just as I spoke that. It's trying to get away from me. Anyway, you can just reposition it, but it's being held down by the surface tension of that oil, like so. All right, so, and you just stick it in. Actually, I'm gonna put both of them in. And do some for the inside of the pivot, because oil, while attracting dirt, it does repel the rust, and it also helps with anything that's moving in there. It's actually going in great for me. So far so good. And now I'm gonna install the this spring. If you remember, that part goes in there. It's in, and then so it's in as it should be, and then I just have to drag this, put a little bit of tension and drag this part and put it in that hole, right? So that's going to require some of the kind of just doing it, you know, putting some tension on it and doing it. It's done. Okay, so I just did it with my hands. You just put some tension and stick it in that little hole. So it's done. It's in. The spring is in. The next part is going to be putting on the scales and installing the pivot screw. Right now I'm not using any thread locker because I want to install the pivot screw. Oops, things are falling down. All right, so this scale is being held by this one particular screw. It's not going anywhere. What I'm gonna do is install the pivot. As always with Benchmade, you want to pull on this axis lock a little bit, and that's going to loosen the whole blade play. There's going to be blade play as soon as you pull on this thing. So you just pull on it a little bit, the blade starts playing. I actually didn't look which way this has to go. Let me just double check this really quick. I have my flashlight. It's not telling me much right now. Gosh, if I know. Okay, so I'm gonna pull on this and I'm gonna try to wiggle it in. Okay, it's going in. It's in. All right. So yeah, I didn't know which way to go. I should have paid attention, but now it's in, and I can put the other side of the scales like so. And then the pivot screw goes right back in. There's so much thread locker that I'm not sure if I'm gonna put any more right now. And it's actually, there's a lot of tension required to put this screw back in. And so we'll see. The proper way would be, after I assemble everything, to take out the pivot and to take out these two screws, to put thread locker on them and put them back in, set it and forget it for 12 hours. That's what I'm probably gonna do. I don't want to do a monkey job for my girlfriend or for anyone, you know. You guys deserve to be well, whatever. You know what I mean. Everything needs to be well done. Done well. Job well done. You guys know what I'm saying, even if I don't. All right. Just keep going around and putting these assembly screws back in. One by one. In they go. And then last one. This is the last of the assembly screws. All right, so this is put together. Right now, it doesn't have a clip, but so I just want to point out that these two screws and then this pivot screw have to deal with how easy or how hard the blade opens, right? So you want it to have a little bit of play, just so that, you know, when the dirt and grime comes from the heavy use and hard use, it's got some place to play. It doesn't have to be too tight. It has to be a little bit loose. And the reason for that is, you know, because it's gonna work perfect right now because I just cleaned it and lubed it. But you want it to be ready for those hard use times, and that needs some tolerances. That needs some room to play. And that's the reason to use Loctite, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn it tight, but then it's not going to be held tight by just the tension of tight turn, because you're going to turn it back a little bit to give it some looseness. And once you turn it back, the only thing that's holding it at that point is that Loctite, the thread locker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the clip back on, pocket clip back on, and then I'm going to take out those screws that are holding the pivot, and these two at the top that are giving it the tightness over here. I'm gonna take them out, I'm gonna put some thread locker, and I'm gonna put them back in. And at that point, I'm gonna put it to rest for about 12 hours or so. And then I'm gonna give it back to my girlfriend, and you guys will have a nice video to reference whenever you need to take apart this knife. Once again, the pocket clip is the easiest thing in the world. First of all, because these screws are a little longer, they're a little easier to just kind of grab and start sticking it into places. Also learn from my mistake, don't tighten the first one all the way, because you want a little bit of play to get the second one in. And once it's in, then it's easy, and then you can tighten both of these. Don't tighten them super crazy, okay? Just be reasonable with them. You don't want them to, you know, to experience. It's a T6. It shouldn't be too tight. All right. So I like it very much. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out, I put some thread locker and put them back in. Let's start with the pivot. And I have so much thread locker, I don't even need to do this, but I'm gonna do it just for the love of the process. Thread locker, I like to shake it a little bit. I think that helps, but that might just be in my head. We'll put a little bit in. Okay, and in we go. So what you do, the rule of thumb is you put the pivot screw all the way in, all the way tight, super tight, and then you roll it back a little bit, okay? Just reasonably, so that, because what I put it super tight right now, and I cannot even close it, right? It's not super tight, just tight enough. So you roll it back a little bit. Now it starts working, but look, it's tight, it's grimy, it's not enough play. It will work, but I wouldn't like it to be this tight. And I'm just gonna roll it back just a touch, and now I like it a lot. It goes smooth. I can feel the oil in there, those washers, everything is working perfectly. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same for these screws, because they're not supposed to be tight. They're supposed to be same way. You put them in all the way, and then you roll them back a little bit, just to give this a little bit of play over here. So let's take them out, put some thread locker on them, and put them back in. They're out. Thread locker in. And the screw goes back in. And if you have some excess thread locker around, just wipe it. No biggie. Same thing with this one, and I'm done. Look at that nice screw. Let's get some Loctite on you. Please work. Work for me. Alright, so in goes the last screw. Put it all the way in, and then roll it back a little bit. Just a touch back. It may feel a little loose, but it will harden up. At this point, it's great. I really like it. Great action. I'm gonna sharpen this off camera. So as you guys can see, it's there's nothing to this. It's easy to do. You can actually put some more oil in different areas if you like this access lock to be looped. I might do that off camera. You can also put some oil on this stopper. This locks the knife, so you cannot open it in a locked position, in a closed position, but also it locks it open when it's in an open, and you can just work, and you're not worried about this closing on you, making this a really nice and dependable design. So if you don't trust the access lock 100%, you just use this thing, and that's an extra security measure. You have it open, and you just go to work, and you don't worry about a thing. So yeah, that's it, and hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Thanks for tuning in.